So hi guys, this is the Barcelona Catalonia Grand Prix analysis. What a race it was. I said yesterday that it's a race that is going to be very interesting. It's something you might not expect. Unfortunately, it was. And I also said something that Lewis Hamilton will win his first race with Ferrari before Charles Leclerc. I've been saying that since early last year. He did that, and he did it in style. He did it in a commanding pace, in a commanding understanding with perfection. And what a race it was. It shows that, one, Ferrari are now listening to Lewis Hamilton. I said it last week that Ferrari have started listening to him, so now they do more simulations, they listen to him more, they understand what he wants from his car more, and that is paying off on his own side of the garage. On the other side of the garage, that's Charles Leclerc. I think they're having more issues on that side because there's an old way they've been doing it that they've not been winning. They did that last year. It was a waste of chunk of understanding last year. They started that at the beginning of the season. Now it's a change. If you remember last year with Ricardo Adami, it was a command and control situation between Lewis Hamilton and him. It was a woeful experience for Lewis Hamilton racing with Ferrari last year. At the point, I was even thinking this guy might just give up. He might just leave F1 because he called himself different names. Useless, he's not good enough, this, that, a whole lot, because it was just not gelling. It was not working. But this year, since China, they've done different simulations and now they can see where they are heading towards. And all thanks to Fred Vasseur for listening to him and for making the communication work, the link perfect. And now they are on the verge of giving a big and huge chunk of challenge to Mercedes for the Constructors' Championship, which is going to be a huge one. Now, how did the race pan out? Lewis Hamilton started second, George Russell first, Kimi Antonelli third. They were both able to channel the car into the first corner, first, second, and away it goes. Mercedes has the pace. They were there dominating. Lewis Hamilton maintained that second position, not giving the space to Kimi Antonelli. And like I said in my earlier video, in their head, I told you, undercut works far better in Barcelona than overcut. When you do an undercut on your opposition or anybody around there, make sure you do the undercut, and on your first lap, do a fast lap. You are going to put that person in a very difficult situation, and that was what they did. I knew it was going to be a 3-stop, and that played out, and it was a win for Lewis Hamilton. And how did he win? His 106th race win in F1, his first win for Ferrari. It shows that he has driven for 3 teams in F1. He was standing on a podium with 2 other drivers that were British descent. 3 British drivers standing on the podium. He was also standing on the podium with 2 other constructors he has driven for and won for in McLaren and Mercedes. What a man, what a race, what a command he had. 3-stop, excellent in it. They knew what to do. When the safety car came, they were leading, they pitted, had fresh tires, and he never looked back since he was in front. It was a 19.7 seconds lead, commanding lead he had over George Russell. The Mercedes were fighting behind him. He led consistently, comfortably to deliver an outstanding victory for Ferrari, in which Ferrari deserves this season, and Lewis Hamilton himself deserves for all the hard work he had given to Ferrari. What a race it was. What a man he was. What a team Ferrari could become if they keep moving in that direction they are moving. It was an outstanding race. I can't just short emphasize it because it just looks like a dream come true for him. He never expected, never believed it. The emotions were high. Everything was just out there. New race engineer, perfect strategy, all on point. Mercedes missed the strategy and he destroyed them. And if you look at it, it's just painful because the same thing that happened between George Russell and Kimi Antonelli that messed George Russell's engine up, and I believe it's an overheating issue, messed Kimi Antonelli up in Barcelona. We remember in Canada, George Russell was running behind Kimi Antonelli. Both of them have stressed their engine out. I think it was overheating, the engine shut down. The same thing happened to Kimi Antonelli, and that was the end of the race for him. And they lost maximum points. Maximum points. They could have been second and third because there was no way chasing down Lewis Hamilton would save them. They can't chase him down. He was just kinging in front. He was whooping their ass when he had the chance because the strategy they were on worked for him. Some people say, yeah, it was a safety car. Even if they were not on the safety car, the Mercedes team, they were driving on the 2 strategy. They've changed their tires. By the time Lewis Hamilton will change his tire, he had gotten close to them. By the time he will change his tire, he will come ahead of them. He will race them towards the end, like 4-5 laps before the end, and he'll catch up with them because they will be on weak tires. He will be on fresher tires. So there was no way that Mercedes could have won that race with the strategy they were on. Ferrari had a good strategy. Lewis was on a good strategy. They knew what they wanted. He knew what he wanted. And he drove it in and made sure he was able to not make mess of the race. And it was just outstanding. Nothing else. Just perfectly outstanding. That was the race he did. That was it. So going into the race, we saw Charles Leclerc. He drove a beautiful race. Steering issues ended his race. The car was just too difficult for him to steer, and that was what really ended it for him. And I think Ferrari could have done something. I was thinking it was a front wing issue, but unfortunately not a front wing issue. So what else could they do? They lost it, so forget about it for them. To Max Verstappen, a good strategy, but I think that car still looks like a tractor. Got some maximum points. They have the fastest engine, but the aerodynamics, not it for Red Bull, not it. Great race for his teammate Isaac Hadjar. Great race for George Russell. Great race for Lando Norris, because the McLaren were able to stay in position to look for opportunities. Probably if the Mercedes crash out, they will be able to gain position. They were not doing more than themselves. They waited for the opportunity. Then the opportunity came when Kimi Antonelli lost his engine. But what a great race for them. Piastri points. The two Alpine, great points for them, like the last race. The Racing Bulls, huge point for them. They keep racking the point. But for Lewis Hamilton, he maintains the second position, though George Russell is breathing behind him. But his teammate losing out again, 0 points, is going to be a very difficult one for him to climb back. We're going to Austria. Ferrari have not had a very good Austrian race, though it's an home race for Red Bull, and Red Bull have always done great race there. They've always had the package. Probably it will favor Red Bull again, but it's a track in which favors Red Bull more, the high altitude. But how would Ferrari cope? Probably their package will be able to cope with it. But do not take it away from Lewis Hamilton, because that will be the headline for the next 2 weeks. His dominance in Barcelona is another level. A sold out stage of over 301,000 people coming in to watch their favorites. But at the end of the day, Lewis Hamilton kinged out, showed them that he's still the king. To the Williams, another bad weekend for them. As at the bad weekend, they raced their life out. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso both retired the car. The Aston Martin Honda power unit is still becoming an unbecoming mess up for them, and is not showing their possible reality for the future in which I think they hold. 3 years ago, I said it's going to be a big mistake for Aston Martin to leave Mercedes engine and drift towards Honda, but it's showing now. Next year is not a certain year for them to bring any upgrades or anything to the engine to make it more functional. They're still going to struggle next year, because if they're still struggling this year with what we are seeing, next year is not going to be short of another struggle for them. 100% take it. They are still going to struggle next year. For Cadillac, they had a better performance. At least Perez had a good race. Bottas had a good race. I think Bottas retired, but they had a good race. They've been consistent, and the consistency in Cadillac does not even show that they're a new team. It shows that they have an upward trajectory trend in which they are going towards. Theirs is not as good as Audi, which is a new team, but Audi as a new team has a Sauber effect, a Ferrari growth around them before they became Audi. The only thing that changed in Audi this season is the Audi engine, and it has been a solid engine, though not one of the best engine. The Aduo would have an effect on them also, because they are going to get two Aduos like Ferrari, Aston Martin, but it shows that they are in the right direction. Cadillac doing a great job, but losing out of point. Audi having a great race also, but they lost out of point also. They really lost out of point. The biggest losers of today, Aston Martin, Williams. Albon was out, came back in, struggled. Not a good race for them. Cadillac, Audi, not a good race. But the biggest winner of today, Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Mercedes, George Russell. And to McLaren, what a win for them, because they stayed in the race, got good points. And to Red Bull also, good points. Their two cars got maximum points, so which makes sense. Now it's now a game of bringing a better Ado to the engine, because it shows now that the package they brought in Barcelona is working. 8 upgrades and shut them up. It's working perfectly. They still need to fine-tune it, make it better. Probably it gives them an edge in Austria. And now that they have the edge, I think they should use it better, because it's going to be very difficult when McLaren and Mercedes are bringing upgrades, and probably Ferrari brings an upgrade that might challenge them. They should use it as Mercedes are using their own opportunity. First win for any team outside Mercedes this season, and it was Ferrari that was getting it. And not just Ferrari, it was Lewis Hamilton, a former Mercedes-Benz driver, getting that win. So it's going to be an opportunity for Ferrari to quickly get some decent points before their counterparts wakes up and start giving them challenges. So going to Austria is going to be a very difficult race, and I suggest the Ferrari should change engines going to Austria. Exhaust, power unit, everything, they should change it going there so that they don't have issues. They can save this one, refurbish it, get it ready for towards the end of the year, especially for the two drivers. It shows that they have a good engine, seriously, so they can save it, put a new engine, because you can't use that same engine you've been using for the past few races going into Austria, a high altitude race. Is going to be ballistic. Engine can blow up. So the upgrades are working. Ferrari are having a better strategy, especially on Lewis's side. They are choosing the right theme, the right game, the right things to play with. Now, on the other side, they need to work it out, bring a blend to move forward, because this should tell George Russell that he's not the driver, he's not the car. It is being having an insynction with the driver. Is just that the driver needs to be in sync with the car. That makes a great win, and that is what Lewis Hamilton has proven. And that also has Max Verstappen proven over. The car is not in sync with Max Verstappen. No matter how edgy it is, everything, the car is not just functioning the way it wants it to function. And that is why Max Verstappen and Red Bull are where they are. So it's not that Max Verstappen is a bad driver or his car, this is not functioning, that is not functioning. It's because they are both not in sync. You understand? And George Russell should now learn how to use his words better. He should choose it better, use it better, so that he does not just offend himself or offend himself out of races and out of the championship, because Kimi Antonelli still dominates. Probably we should be having Ferrari bringing their upgrades in for engine, the hardware in Austria or Silverstone. So let's see how that works out for them. But it's going to be a good week for Ferrari, winning their first race of the season and the first race of Lewis Hamilton. The celebration will not end in 2 weeks. So probably they can bring up this same challenge into Austria in 2 weeks' time, win the race in Austria if they can. And I think now they can, because they have a lot to catch up on Mercedes. But catch you guys in Austria. Don't miss the Austrian race. I love you guys. It's going to be very interesting, because from now on the season will be very, very interesting. Teammates fighting, the team trying to make sure there's balance, and the drivers making sure they keep their head up. And Lewis Hamilton now, I think, will start looking for a way to start fighting for the championship, which is still possible. It's going to be very interesting, and let's see what Mercedes will be able to do this season. Will they be under pressure from Ferrari? Ferrari is the third best team on the grid. The best team on the grid presently is Mercedes, then McLaren, then Ferrari. Ferrari is still the third best team on the grid. So let's see what they are all able to do. The trajectory is swinging towards Ferrari, and this is the opportunity for Charles Leclerc to drive himself into it and make sure he's able to get best out of it. Catch you guys in Spielberg Arena, Austria. I love you guys. Bye. Kill.